We are taught to read poetry like a treasure hunt, searching the verses to uncover a single, stable theme. This standard approach treats language as a transparent window. We look through the words, expecting to see a physical reality or the author's fixed emotional state. Poststructuralism argues that this structural unity is an illusion. When we pull the text apart, the words disconnect from the images they attempt to create. A poem functions as a fluid, unstable exchange of signs. Applying a deconstructive lens to classic verses exposes the hidden paradoxes, overturned binaries, and divided textual subconscious operating beneath the surface. We are going to examine 4 poems, moving from the illusion of reality to the structural fracture of the text itself. This approach shifts our focus. We move from finding a specific meaning to watching meaning fracture under its own weight. Look at Ezra Pound's In a Station of the Metro. Standard interpretations read this 2-line poem as a snapshot of beauty found inside a crowded subway. Catherine Belsey's Poststructuralist framework shifts focus away from the physical subway and onto the mechanics of the language on the page. This demonstrates the primacy of the signifier. The ghostly mood of the poem is a product of the linguistic texture. The word apparition anchors this effect, while the visual symmetry of the layout reinforces the haunting association. The text creates a distinct musicality through contrasting terms and near rhymes. This rhythm works directly on our senses, independent of the physical reality the words claim to describe. We see this taken further in William Carlos Williams's The Red Wheelbarrow, which illustrates a concept known as the language trap. By avoiding complex metaphors and using sharp colors, the poem invites the illusion of referentiality. It tricks the reader into seeing a physical farmyard. But if we look at what the poem omits, that illusion fails. A real farm has mud, grime, and heavy shadows. None of that is here. The farm is suspiciously perfect, glazed with rainwater and featuring stark white chickens. It resembles a clean illustration more than a working agricultural space. The wheelbarrow is an artifact of language. The reality of the scene exists within linguistic artifice. This linguistic tension is present in Shakespeare's Sonnet 18, Shall I Compare Thee to a Summer's Day, a text famous for its celebration of romance. The poem operates on a foundational binary. The beloved is temperate and immortal, privileged over the fading summer day. The text devalues decaying nature to elevate the human subject. Deconstruction forces a reversal. The beloved's immortality requires the act of writing. The sonnet celebrates its own power to confer eternity. The physical subject must textually die to be replaced by a permanent linguistic artifact. The original binary collapses. Both the human and the season fall to mortality, leaving the poem as the sole immortal element. The repressed elements leak back in. Excess heat and rough winds invade the romance, suggesting human passion is rarely temperate. The other invades the self-same. The poem's motive is suspended in a paradox, trapped between sincere devotion and artistic narcissism. Dylan Thomas's A Refusal to Mourn the Death by Fire of a Child in London reacts to a specific wartime tragedy. The standard liberal humanist reading praises this as a unified elegy. It honors the dead by rejecting cliché sentiments of grief. In this reading, the return to nature provides a resolution to the brutality of death. To fracture this unity, we can apply Peter Barry's 3-stage framework: verbal, textual, and linguistic. We start at the verbal stage, locating paradoxes at the word level. The tension begins between never and until, and it culminates in the final line: after the first death, there is no other. That final line is self-refuting. Using the word first implies a sequence that the rest of the sentence denies. The text inverts the binary of light and dark, framing an all-humbling darkness as a life-giving force. Next is the textual stage, tracking shifts in the poem's timeframe. We jump from geological aeons to the burning child to the historical Thames. These shifting temporal perspectives prevent the text's meaning from grounding in a coherent viewpoint. Finally, the linguistic stage examines where language fails, exposing the poem's reliance on liturgical vocabulary. Here we find the poem's central aporia, an unresolvable contradiction. The speaker professes to reject standard elegiac stances, yet the text executes a highly crafted act of mourning. the text elevates the child into a heroic figure. In doing so, it adopts the liturgical rhetoric it consciously condemned just lines earlier. The poem fails to stabilize its own inherent contradictions. It functions as an enactment of language's endemic unreliability. Look at these 4 texts. Through a deconstructive lens, none of them survive as unified monuments of emotion or snapshots of reality. They are sites of linguistic conflict, where meaning is constantly delayed, argued, and reinvented. Language is unreliable, prone to trapping itself in its own binary assumptions. By studying a text's fault lines and contradictions, we gain an understanding of how a text operates when its own underlying logic is pushed to the surface.